Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you my study routine. I'm going to show you how I prepare myself for my exams from the first day of the semester until the exam day. And all it takes is 5 simple steps. As most of you guys know, I am a law student, and as a law student I have to learn a lot of books by heart, and this method is helping me to study in the most efficient way. Of course, this method is not going to work for everyone and for every study, but I still hope you can get a couple of tips out of this. For this video, I have partnered up with Studying Amino. Amino is an app where you can find people that have the same interests as you, and Studying Amino is an app that is specially created for students to inspire and motivate each other, and they were kind enough to sponsor this video, and I also created an exclusive playlist that you can find on the Studying Amino app, where you can find all my favorite songs that I like to listen to during my study sessions. You can find a link in my description box in case you want to check out the app or want access to the playlist. And without further ado, let's get into it. So the first step is very simple but effective. It's going to the lectures. Lectures are super useful because all the study material gets explained there by the professor. You really get to think about the study material because you have to take notes, and you also get to see the study material from another perspective than your own, because the professor is explaining the textbook from his or her perspective. I always make sure I pay attention during the lectures. I put my phone on airplane mode and I make sure I take good notes, and I also read those notes after the lecture. During the lectures, I also try to understand what's important. The professor will often emphasize the most important parts of the textbook. So if you pay attention during the lectures, you will already know what's important and what you should focus on. Step 2 is reading my textbooks. Textbooks contain a lot of information that the professor may not tell you during the lecture, and it also helps you to understand the study material better. I try to read my books before the lecture because it's more beneficial, but I often don't have enough time, so I read it after the lecture. When I'm reading my textbooks, I highlight the most important sentences, and I highlight whole sentences and not just words, because if you just highlight words, and after a while you're just not really reading anymore, but you're on automatic pilot. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but there has been research and it has shown that highlighting your textbook while reading is not super effective. So what I like to do is read a paragraph or a piece of text and then try to ask myself, what is the most important sentence here? Because every paragraph usually has 1 or 2, maybe 3 important sentences, and all the other sentences are built around that. So I try to find that important sentence and I only highlight that. When reading my books, I also try to understand the bigger picture. Textbooks are usually more organized than what the professor tells you during the lecture, so it really helps to put things in order and to understand everything a lot better. Step 3 of my study routine is to summarize my textbooks. Because I highlighted the most important sentences during step 2, it's going to be a really easy job for me to summarize, because the only thing I really have to do is rewrite those sentences in my textbook and make sure there is some kind of a structure. And I also use my content table of my textbooks as a guide to find that structure. So my summary isn't just a summary, but also is a good overview of my study material. Summarizing my textbooks is a really time-consuming job. It really takes hours and hours to summarize one book. So I love to listen to some music when I'm summarizing. I often get questions about this, and during the real studying, I can't listen to music because I need to focus. But when I'm summarizing, I'm not super focused, so I can listen to music to create a really nice environment, and it's way easier to keep up with your study habit when it's a little bit more fun. So I have teamed up with Studying Amino to create a playlist for you guys that I also love to use when I'm summarizing. It's a playlist made for a really chill study session, so it will create really nice vibes, but it won't be too distracting. I just love listening to this kind of music when I'm studying, and I hope you will too. So the first 3 steps of my study routine are things that I do during a semester, and step 4 and 5 are things that I do during the exam period. Step 4 is the real studying, and just like I said before, during the real studying I need absolute silence. I cannot stand any sound whatsoever. This is pretty much the most boring part of the whole study routine, and if I don't feel inspired or motivated, I like to check my Instagram or the Studying Amino app to look at pictures and to read stories from people that are in the same situation as me, and it can often help to give you that little push. So for the real studying, I learn my summaries and my notes by heart. As a law student, you need to make sure that the study material that you're going to study is completely updated, because the law changes all the time and your notes are probably the most updated version of your study material. So it's really important for me to study my notes, and I also study my summary. The details from my textbook are usually already processed during the semester, you know, when I went to the lectures, when I read my books, and when I was summarizing. After those 3 steps, I remember pretty much most of the details already, so it's a matter of studying the summary so I can remember the bigger picture, and so I will be able to answer the exam questions. I love to use the teacher method, which I have explained before in another video. But the teacher method is basically pretending you're a teacher that is explaining the study material to another person. And I think this is the best method to study, because if you're able to explain something to another person, it means that you fully understand the concept of your study material. A tip that I can give you is to take your time when you're studying. I can study up to 200 pages per day, but if I do that, my brain is just full and I don't remember things completely and I tend to get confused. So really take your time, take a couple of days if you need it, and just don't do too much in one day. Just spread it over a couple of days and take it easy, because that's really the best way to study. The last thing I want to say is that reading is not the same as studying. If you're just reading the study material, you won't remember it actively, only passively. So if you get a question about it, you won't really remember everything, but if someone else tells you the answer, you will be like, oh right, I read that. That's not studying, because if you do that, you won't be able to answer the questions on your exam. So you really have to make sure that you study actively and that you can actively give the answers. The final step in my study routine is to do past exams. Past exams are a great way to practice and to see if you really understand the study material. I often find past exams on Facebook in group chats, but some professors also provide their students with past exams so they can practice. A tip that I can give you is to really take your time while doing past exams and don't expect yourself to answer within 5 minutes, because during the exam you will probably get an hour or maybe a couple of hours. So really give yourself that same amount of time to answer the questions and write everything down that you didn't know or things that you need to revise again. And once you're done with your past exam, you can go straight back to your books and study again and revise again until you fully understand and know everything. So those are the 5 steps I take to fully prepare myself for my exams. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you learned from it, and if you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more videos about studying or about student life. Thank you, Studying Amino, for sponsoring this video, and I will see you next time. Bye guys! Show me.